there is no web config, there is no HTTP context. So what do you reuse from the previous stuff? Nothing. We can reuse all the concepts though, like shell, descriptors, tenants, everything will be the same. But otherwise it's a rewrite.
Yeah, it's a little bit odd because it's still the framework's still quite in flux. So
it's not even in beta, okay? It's not even in beta.
Yeah.
Hi everyone.
Well, exactly. It's still very much in flux. So
Benelec is here, so we can start the meeting.
Yeah. Thanks for pinging me. I forgot about the time zone differences, and it's nice to see your face.
It's Brett who asked me. I can't switch it off.
Cool. No. Leave it on.
No.
Come
You're
on.
scared. You're not supposed to call it out. You don't point attention to the beast.
Unfortunately, Zoltan is on his way home at the moment.
Okay, that's fine.
From the office.
It will be a more efficient meeting.
Oh, come on.
Okay, so we can start. Let me share my screen. I think I cleaned everything I need to clean. Orchard. Sharing screens. And I think Bertrand might also be in Europe. I'm not sure. Screens.
Bertrand's in Europe?
He's going to TechEd, Barcelona. And Barcelona is in Europe. Okay.
I think Barcelona's got one of the highest mugging rates in Europe.
Can you see my deck?
Yes. It's really strange, but it loads almost instantly in the past few weeks. I don't know what happened.
I've been moved to another data center for Link. I received an email.
Oh.
So maybe that's it. I don't know.
Interesting.
A faster one, they said.
Apparently.
So, and if Bertrand is not joining, we won't be able to talk about switching Link. So, going back in time, and these are not PRs, so they are here. Fixing spec flow tests. Yes, one spec flow test was not working. It was fixed, but I think we ended the last meeting on that. Sipke has been working on the rollback feature and apparently working on something called the recycle bin. For content items. I don't know how much improvement is done since last week. Maybe will tell us. Fixing style of what? Oh yes. So I did a bunch of branch work last week. I deleted lots of no more used branches. Rotten branches, like NHibenate 3, AutoFag 3, stuff like that I don't know why they were still on the repository, so I've deleted them from the main repo to clean it. I also merged some of them, like Piotr changes for Redis. I merged 1.8x into 1.x too, so you should get the new things from 1.8x. This is from Piotr changes for Redis. So you see message bus now is into 1.x, so the Redis changes are inside 1.x. Stanley reverted his changes on the tag cloud but kept the import export. Yeah, this one has been reverted there, so we don't care about it. He created a branch with an object dumper, which I think he pushed in 1.8x. I need to understand what he did here, but it should be easy. Background tasks is the work from what is that? Yes, I merged. Okay, I merged the isolation level config changes into the background task work. What was isolation level config? This is Sipke's work. Yeah, when Sipke implemented a different isolation configuration for like the background tasks, for the migrations, it was still on the branch, so I merged the branch with the background tasks work, which will also change the configuration. But Piotr is supposed to work on that, as if you remember. Otherwise, we'll do that. Recycle bin feature from Sipke. It's not in a branch, is it? It's not in a branch.
Yeah, it should be in a branch.
So why don't I see the branch?
It should be the rollback.
Oh, rollback branch. Okay, sorry. So he worked on the rollback branch. This is Stanley with the object dumper unit tests and fixes. Okay. Same thing. This is Daniel fixing this project, which was starting all the time. So now it's no more starting automatically. This is the rollback feature. This is Bertrand's working on the deployment feature. Sipke fixing a bug, and Zoltan has started to work on the OWIN branch, so he updated the binaries, and he should be working on the unit test, so moving the unit tests which are using right now the runtime integration from ASP.NET, so like Cassini web server to run the unit test, is moving to IS Express because OWIN doesn't support classic mode, only supports integrated mode. So we need a web server which supports integrated mode, which is IS Express. So the functional test will work using IS Express when he's done with the work. And I don't think he's done with the work. Here he's just updating DLLs right now, but he's working on that, I know. Okay, that's it. Any question? Sipke, you have a demo?
Well, I just found a bug though, so that's unfortunate, but I'll still show what I got. Desktop.
I stop presenting so you can present.
So, as you know, we've now have the AuditTrail module, which shows items that have been changed. It shows deleted items as well. Based on a suggestion from Bertrand last week, we now created I've been working on a restore function. So even deleted items can now be restored. So existing changes to items can be restored to previous versions. And when you delete an item, for example, let's delete page 10, we can, it's no longer here because it's deleted, but we can go to AuditTrail and we'll see that it was removed. And we can now choose to restore that. Just like that, it will create a new version based on the removed version. And then we can work with it. It will not publish it automatically. You will have to do that yourself. So that's important to realize. For example, if you deleted the home page and you restored it, you will first have to publish it again otherwise you will not have a home page. So we can polish this, or we can delete it again. And we also have a recycle bin tab. It's a new tab, and this shows all of the deleted content items sorted by removal date. And this is just using the modified UTC, which it wasn't updated upon removal, but I updated the handler so that on remove, the common part is updated, or the modified UTC on the common part is updated with the current date and time. There's two actions. We can either restore these items so they are recycled, or we can remove them permanently, which is a destructive operation. So this will actually physically delete the content item record, content version records, and all of the part records associated with this type. And because it's an action you can't roll back, it warns you explicitly, with capital letters, that it's going to be permanently removed. To be safe, I added another prompt, so you are absolutely certain what you're doing, because it's a very dangerous operation. But of course, we should. I wanted to discuss this with you. What should be the verbiage, and this is of course just a joke for this demo. We aren't actually gonna show two alerts, but I did want to ask what you think. Should we include a permanently removal action or not? Because it's potentially destructive. And also, if we do want it, should it just be allowed by the site owner, or should we introduce a separate permission? So I wanted to hear your opinions on that.
I'm not sure we should do that.
I agree.
Why?
If you edit now, we can't revert it. We can't remove the feature, and I'm not sure we want that. Maybe that should be separate feature.
Yeah, it could be done as a separate feature. For now, I added a. What did I do? I added a filter.
And I think it's even worse that it's coming from the AuditTrail module, because the AuditTrail module is supposed to show you what happened on your website for security reasons, and that nobody can delete stuff.
Yeah.
And then you say, oh, if you enable the AuditTrail module to ensure that to ensure the audit trail, and then you let people delete the actual proof of what has been done.
No, that remains. So you can delete these items, and it will still show up in the history, but you won't be able to go to its details, and you won't be able to restore. You will still see who did what. So the events themselves aren't deleted. But I agree that recycle bin, it's maybe not. It shouldn't be part of AuditTrail. Maybe it should be its own feature.
Yeah, but you can make a feature and which depends on AuditTrail. I don't know, in the same screen actually.
It doesn't have to depend on the AuditTrail. We could make it dependent, but it doesn't have to be. AuditTrail itself can just restore whatever content item, whether it's deleted.
That's fine to be part of this module.
Oh, okay.
But
So
a different feature.
Okay, different feature of the same module. Okay.
And then the question is about deleting the actual data. I'm not sure we want to do that.
Okay, because it's dangerous.
Because this will be the first time we allow something to be deleted concretely.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been requests on the forums about, cleaning up the database by physically removing, and so there is interest in that.
Yeah, like there is interest into uninstalling modules and deleting tables and things like that, but it won't. The performance impact is really low here.
Oh, you mean because even though the database contains those items, it's not performing. It's not impacting the performance in a bad way. So it's okay. It's there. It's invisible anyways.
So we need to talk about it. I'm afraid of having that by default.
Okay. That's good. I just wanted to show it so we could have a discussion about that. So that's fine. That's it for my demo.
And another discussion is about why not reuse the same styling we have for bulk tasks, for bulk actions.
Oh, I just copied this styling here.
So yes, why not using the same style for like we have everywhere in every screen? You're making a new style. We need to be consistent in the.
Yeah.
Even if it's ugly.
Yeah. At least
otherwise, people say, "Yeah, the AuditTrail has its own style. Why can't I have my own style?" And
yeah, and they can, of course, but
I think users like the fact that we are consistent. We have a consistent UI. If every module starts doing their own stuff, that's bad. Even if we have some work to work on the admin side. Some of the devs have started some admin themes, so yeah, this will be part of the restyling. But here,
yeah, you're right. That should be done holistically. So sure, I'll change the style. Use the exact same styling as what we see on the content screen here.
Yeah.
Same classes.
At least if you need to improve that, change the admin CSS so that everything looks the same and better instead of doing a custom thing for your own pages.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you think we should use this style?
I'm not sure. I don't exactly know which one is better. Mm-hmm. Maybe none of them are good, and we should look at Bootstrap, what they do. And
well, I'll just use this style here. People are used to it.
But I agree the default one is not perfect because when you resize, it's messed up and you don't know what the apply button applies to, and so I agree there are some flaws, but keep it wrong, consistently wrong, so we can fix it consistently everywhere.
Makes sense. We'll do that.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Thanks.
Cool. Thank you. This is a nice feature. And you've seen that some people have tried to do that. And have you answered the forum about that? There was a discussion. I think it was Jay Harris who was actually porting the iRoo version manager module on 1.x, but you have the AuditTrail and the recycle bin, so that's useless, I think.
Yeah, someone else answered. I think it was you who answered that.
I answered, but
the module isn't necessary because of the AuditTrail.
Yeah, I don't think I have seen any feedback from that. Okay, cool. So what do we have?
I would like to have a quick demo as well.
Oh, go, please.
Okay, I'll show my screen.
Anyone else, by the way, I didn't ask. Anyone else has some demo?
So tell me if you can see my screen.
Not yet. Black right now. I can see.
Okay, great. So this is the admin interface of the Harvest Challenge website, and it runs on .NET. And what I wanted to show you is that actually a few weeks ago, we deployed the language packages to .NET. So if you have a .NET tenant, you can now use the admin interface in several languages. This is Spanish, so I just open up a bunch of tabs with different language settings. This is the Spanish one. We have French, and we have Italian, Russian, simplified Chinese, and of course Hungarian. So actually this is a very short demo. I just wanted to share with you that
this is running 1.x?
Yes, quite recent one. I think we deployed. This is 1.8.1, but yeah, it's 1.8. It's 1x. Some recent 1x.
Can you show an RTL language?
Well, I have
because
to
this would
check
be interesting.
What we deployed. Yeah, just give me a second.
Nick has done some work on that. It should work.
Okay, I checked the latest deploy. Sorry, I'm just checking source control in the meanwhile. Yeah. Well, let's see. I just closed the.
So these are different websites.
These were the same.
Or it's just.
It was the same. I just opened up a bunch of tabs.
And how did you change the language?
So I changed the language to, for example, French. Opened the tab and then changed, and then opened another tab and then changed again and then opened another tab. So that's how they display next to each other. So
you can add the admin culture picker, and you'll be able to switch inside the admin screen.
There is a drop down, yeah, to that.
I think
What's
it's
the feature
called admin culture picker, or it might just be called culture selector or something along those lines. Type in culture.
No, okay, so that's not the most recent 1x. We have it in staging then, I think.
Okay, cool.
But we haven't swapped it to.
But it will be even
production.
an even cooler demo with if it was switching to RTL automatically.
Well, yeah,
because
but we don't.
The navigation goes on the right, and that's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, we don't have a RTL language package, so we don't have a language package for an RTL language, but yeah, it should work. Maybe next week.
Cool, thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else? No? Okay. So I have some... what did I miss? Let me check from last week. I had a good list from last week. I'm not sharing, I know. Discuss, demos to be done. Status is done. Documentation updates. Documentation updates and okay, yes, that and community. Let me share my screen again. So just looking at the documentation or chat doc, commits, playtime. Is it still about the C#? Yes, maybe. Yes, so I think that Adrian fixed the language support because it was no more working. And let me check if I can find, okay, this one is from, okay, test markdown file. Net documentation, I just need a file with some code. The module, where is the building a module? Well, it's not broken anymore, at least. Okay. So it's still working, but no improvement here. But I know he worked on that. And I don't think there has been any new documentation since last week. 6 days ago. Nope, this is the same thing from Adrian. So nothing on this side. Enter. Anything interesting we have seen there? Oh, is anyone talking Russian? Because I saw a bunch of Russian tweets yesterday. I don't know what they meant. Benedek, you don't talk Russian?
No.
You're the closest. You're the closest one to Russian.
Yes, and it was mandatory for a long time in Hungary to learn Russian, but fortunately
so what does
it's
it
not
say?
anymore. I have no idea. Maybe, but I don't know.
Yes, so Zoltan started a discussion on the forum about improving the developer experience, talking about tidy orchard and different ways to do that. If you want to look into it. This is it. Nothing interesting here. Stanley switched his blog to Orchard. Interesting. I haven't opened it actually. Is it Orchard? Yes. That doesn't look like Orchard. That's weird. And that's it. The rest is from last week before. Okay. So I have some topics to discuss. Future of data access, caching interface changes, and Hangout versus Link. So Hangout versus Link was triggered by Bertrand, but because he's not here, we won't talk about it. Is Piotr here? Nope. The future of data access. Let's talk about it. Just as a summary, the historical future of data access in Orchard was supposed to be for Orchard 2.0, and we've talked many times about something like yes SQL. We've also changed in 1.8 to use the shift, which is info sets. But we might have some other solutions. So just to clarify on what the state today. Today we also have the content manager API. We have HQL solution, so HQL queries. I think it's called like this. And we can write we have also repositories.
And we have the criteria API.
And then you could also say you have query over. Okay. Is NHibenate specific. So today we have everything, and like this. You can do anything you want with that, but it's really complex. And so what do you say, Nick? Repositories all the way. Thanks. So because you have SQL, you can do whatever you want. The issue is that nobody wants to use SQL directly because it's too complex and you need to know the database. And this is not the goal. We just want to prevent you from doing that. So the ideal solution is to use the Content Manager API, but it has lots of limitations when you want to do optimized queries. You have repositories, but it's for simple cases to create records. We have criteria API and query over, but it's not exposed directly. You need to know that because we are using NHibenate, you can use criteria APIs and query over. So people tend not to do that. We improved the querying, dynamic querying using SQL queries, but there are two ways. There is the HQL API, which we ship and we use in projection, and there is actual QL if you want to use the NHibenate session directly and run some HQL queries. And even though we have all these solutions, I think this doesn't work. What do you think? Feedback, cry, shout.
HQL works pretty well.
Okay. So this is what you use, but weren't you using criteria API last time you talked to me?
Yes, and that's too limiting for this recycle bin implementation.
So
but
you are using.
So I'm using HQL directly. I'm building up an SQL string, which is like SQL, but it queries over objects instead of records. It's I haven't found any bugs though.
Stanley was complaining, and he had the Hibernate team to fix some stuff, and still after that there were
I've seen that. Yeah.
some issues for ordering.
Yeah. Well, it's not ideal. It's still an abstraction, of course, but
yeah.
But it
So
works pretty well.
Yeah, in theory, you should be able to use SQL queries to do any kind of specific query. The issue being you need to know the object model, and you also need to know the tricks we use in the object model, which are that from content item to, well, from the content item record and version record to the parts, there is a fake property, which is the name of the part, okay? And this you have to know. Yeah, so this one is very limited, but is very useful when you need to just load content items very simply based on some records on parts or simple filters. So I think we still need that. Repositories, yeah, nobody complains about it. It does the job. This is not limiting. This you should not have to use if you use HQL. And SQL is really last resort to optimize stuff or stuff that you can't do with HQL. There is a common issue to all of these solutions, which is NHibenate itself. So the issues with NHibenate, many of them. Performance. So memory, because the mapping is taking a lot of memory, actually. Materialization, which is the task of taking records from a database and creating objects out of them. So materialization is really slow in NHibenate compared to other solutions. CQRS, command query, and RS. S for system. R, I don't remember. So yeah, so there are some pitfalls with NHibenate. So maybe we could think about options on how not to use NHibenate, and options not to use NHibenate, or to have it there and use another API, a new API, inject a new API that we could use if we don't want to use NHibenate directly. I think, I'm not sure this is what Umbraco is doing, because they used to have an ORM, maybe NHibenate too, I don't remember, but or maybe they have an API, but now I think they are using PetaPoco, which is a micro-ORM. I'm not sure, but I think I've seen that in some discussion groups. So it's a micro-ORM, and I think they have two APIs, concurrent APIs. So this one and another one, the old one. So this is a solution. The solution being, let's introduce a new API and use it by default, but keep the previous one for backward compatibility and for simple usage for people who were happy with the current state. On ORM, oh my god, what is that? Okay, you're pointing to a link. It's pretty cool, okay. Okay, they started that last year. Yeah, so I just wanted to see what you thought about the idea of introducing yet another content API to manage database. So main point being performance, and yeah, so my goals here would be to get something solving the performance issue for memory and materialization, and also not limited. So you could do any query you want. And but this would imply that this will be kind of SQL. Because we know you are using SQL, well, let's not try to abstract it and let people create their SQL queries if they want, and not limited, but with helpers, so that we could have SQL helpers to query content items. So for the simple thing, we will have helpers, and for the complex or custom things, you could use SQL directly. So when I say SQL helpers, it will be something like the Content Manager API, which will wrap the SQL queries for you. Maybe you have seen that. Let me, if I go on my blog, because blah blah blah. Yeah, this one. So in this blog post, I was explaining how the database is organized for content items and what SQL query snippets you need to write to extract some content items. You see, very easy, like publish version, older version based on this content type, and these snippets are in every query. So maybe we could have a helper to write that for us, and we will just have to care about the rest of the query, because this is a very specific pattern. I don't want to miss any message here. Yeah, so this will be the idea with SQL helpers, and also maybe have. So what I care about is being database agnostic. So it's not about writing SQL directly, but writing database agnostic SQL, so that it will work on SQL C, SQL Server, and kind of the object model for SQL. So I'm not sure it will be about writing SQL strings directly, but something like link, but just for SQL. Okay, that could be rendered as specific database SQL, like for paging, for instance. Like it's like the dialects in an Hibernate. Okay, so we can convert a SQL query to any. So what do you think?
So do we know what performance benefits this will bring us because this does sound like a lot of work. Is it worth the performance gains? Do we know this?
So fetch performance for values. Friends Boomer, blah blah blah. Yes. So this is you can do whatever you want with a benchmark, but this is an example of materializer. Is it fetching 31,000 entities from a database? Okay. With one query and materialized is in. So it's about loading, okay, just loading, not saving. I don't think we care about the store metrics here. We just care about the read metrics for a website. Sure. And this is what we so look at the numbers, for instance, between Dapper and Hibernate, just for loading, it's kind of 10 times the time to load items. And you see in Hibernate, this is the slowest one. Mm-hmm. And all of them are under 1 second. And this one is 4.6. Okay.
Okay.
And with change tracking, without change tracking. So this is important also because this implies the feature set we provide. Change tracking is about when you load an object in memory and you change it, and you can just call save, it will know it has to save something. Okay, we don't even have to call save. You just commit a transaction, it will push an update or insert on the database. Without change tracking, you have to explicitly, when you change an object, say, oh, enlist this object for being saved in a database. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Isn't change tracking active record?
No. Change tracking is about instrumenting your classes to detect when you access a property and you change it, so that it knows it has to save that. This is change tracking. And it can be clever in the way that, or dumb in the way that when you change a property, it will issue an update statement for the whole object. Or it can be clever in the way that, it will just notice which properties you have changed and just issue an update statement for these properties.
George asks if whether change tracking is on all the time in Hibernate, and if we can turn it off if we wanted to.
I don't know. I've seen different statements about that. Let me check. Change tracking. I think you can move that. But from the article from France, Bouma, I think he said you could not because he didn't integrate that. Simple change tracking.
Also, I know this discussion's been here. It's been there's been a discussion about whether or not we should scope the entire request in a transaction for when there's updates going on. That makes sense, but maybe for just serving a page, could there be a way where we are more intelligent about it instead of having the transaction active throughout the entire request? We don't do that. We only explicitly open transactions when we need to. And also the question is will that gain us any benefits?
There are two kind of transactions. There is a database transaction and there is an Hibernate transaction. And actually, if you open an Hibernate transaction, I'm not sure it's opening an actual database transaction. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure. No, we don't open a database transaction in every request.
Okay, so that's an Hibernate transaction, and Hibernate will probably only open it when it needs to do an update? Okay, so it's already intelligent.
I think, unless you prove me wrong.
Are you sure about that? Because wouldn't that kind of defeat transactions in read scenarios?
So we need an Hibernate transactions for read, for sure, but it doesn't hit the database if there is no write.
Oh, okay. So it's still behaving like a transaction, but it's not a database transaction.
Yes,
every time.
And in an Hibernate world, it will be used for identity map isolation, but it might not. So you should try it if you go on a. I'm almost sure. Let me check. So the question is about when it's ended. That's it. So if it's ended at the end of the request, and I'm not sure we can change that because the goal. What's your question? Should we have smaller transactions? Short-lived transactions and not automatic ones. Yeah, I'm not even sure that's an issue. And this is the recommended pattern for an Hibernate. Short-lived. Yeah. So Daniel is saying get session factory provider that open stateless session. But we need open stateless session. So you can have stateless sessions for sure. So, but it's at the session level. Oh, I missed some things. Okay, what are you saying?
We're not talking about having two ORMs, are we?
ORMs.
Yeah.
So the technical answer will be no. But if you see a micro-ORM, don't see it as an ORM. ORMs, you could say they are data persistence layer plus mapping. And we don't need mapping with a micro-ORM. Micro-ORMs don't do mapping. They are just persistence layers. Do the query and give me some objects. That's it.
What we use, one for the mapping and one for the...
No, I mean, if enhibernate is causing much pain in terms of performance, and this is something we can improve the database performance with, and also unleash more SQL power. Okay, have more management over the SQL queries you want to run, and enhibernate might not be the solution.
But is there any other solution that lets you write not SQL, but something close to SQL that's database agnostic? Because enhibernate lets you specifically do that with
Yeah.
SQL.
So yes, I won't disagree. And so were you in the meeting when I talked about this part?
Not yet.
You say yes or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Yeah, I was emitting the idea of just writing, just using SQL help. Well, a SQL object model like HQL, but not model to write SQL. It could be something like HQL, which will map to SQL and not to objects. It could be just write SQL that works everywhere. I'm not sure it's possible because of paging.
No,
that's
it's not.
So yeah, helpers also for content items to build the default SQL we have for content items. If you want to do simple stuff, so you will just provide the where clauses, for instance. But yeah, we need something database agnostic and based on enhibernate dialects, or at least the same thing. Maybe we should reuse HQL. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just trying to talk about it and to see what the solutions could be. The goal is really to fix the performance issues here. At loading. So for instance, if you've done some memory profiling on lots of tenants, I don't know if you have, you will see that the mapping is part of the bottleneck in terms of memory. Just
containers.
And just for instance, look at the mappings.bin file that we serialize that could take 500 kilobytes on the disk. So in memory it should be more. And lots of strings everywhere for each of the websites you host. So yeah, and just for the mapping, that is almost useless for us. So it's just to see. So, and I was also mentioning that Umbraco is doing that. They are using another API based on PetaPoco that lives at the same time as their old API. But if you want performance, you can use the new API. And I think they are using the new API by default. The old API is still there; it still works, but the new one is used by default. So I'm just mentioning that in case we don't want to wait for an Orchard 2.0 to change the whole data access and break everything, or we could just have another API which is more adapted for the web scenario.
Yeah, I love that idea actually, to have a more lightweight data access story in Orchard, more performing. then
performance, and it's also about the limitations we have today with the current APIs. Maybe it's a wrong issue because, as you said, there is HQL, and anyone can use HQL to create their own queries. But we are not using that, so maybe it's about we should use that instead of the content manager API every time by default.
Well, that would help that issue with flexibility, because HQL is very flexible and powerful. But I haven't used it long enough to be able to say, oh, it has certain limitations. I'm not aware of them. But they help me work around the current limitation of the current API, such as the repositories and criteria and content manager.
Yep. So.
Yeah, I think that surfacing more of the data access layer APIs together with specific helpers that would help orchard developers is a good idea, and we should definitely explore that.
So yeah, because we have abstracted NHibenate, maybe we should remove this abstraction. It's a false abstraction because we have HQL providers, which is completely stupid in terms of abstraction.
Yeah, so I personally hate SQL-query, but
yeah, this was an implementation. It was necessary for the implementation of providers of API of queries. There is no way to do that otherwise. We could call it SQL queries. It will be the same issue. It's not abstracting anything. Sure, we want that in the current code base. In the next one, yes.
Is there anything out there for .NET that is remotely like HQL? So you can do, for example, in-place updates without doing a select and then update separately, like in SQL, but not in SQL, but something database agnostic. Is there something? And is there anything else out there?
I wrote one.
But that is built on NHibenate, no?
I know I built one a few years back, which is completely independent, because I wrote you might not know, I wrote the first .NET ORM in 2001. Wow. So you don't know about it. And then I wrote a second ORM, open source ORM. So, which was using this kind of thing, a SQL object model to make with dialects. So you will write new select dot add where and things like that. So you have the SQL object model, which can be serialized for any RDBMS. So yeah, it works. That's why I'm mentioning that also, because I know we can do that. I'm not sure it's very nice, because sometimes you prefer to write a SQL query like HQL than just writing the object model. So this is nicer because you can make it dynamic. You can rewrite the graph, but yeah. So we are in reaching the end of the meeting. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about it publicly, just to let you think about the solutions, your issues right now you have, and what you want to be solved, so that we can understand what solutions we can use. The opportunities we have here, and just to start a discussion about it. Okay, Zoltan, you have already found something interesting.
Yeah, just quickly. Could we also start an actual discussion on the forums?
Yes, please open it. I will write down my notes here,
sure.
And we can continue on the forum. I have a meeting right now, so I have to leave you. But yes, please. And on the forums, guys, please write down any of your ideas so we can brainstorm and see the possibilities. Okay.
Yeah, send me your ideas. Send me your ideas on the module stuff.
Yes.
Please.
Sure. Okay, thank you, guys.
One line.
Yeah. Antoine, We didn't move to winter time. Sorry, all the French guys coming in now. It's done. You will have to watch the recording. Good job, guys. And I sent a tweet. Okay, thanks everyone. See you on Thursday.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See you
Bye,
Thursday.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, guys.